What if I told you the entire ocean, the crashing waves, the deep abyss, the very water in your veins, was born from a woman's sorrow? Not a goddess of war, not a god of thunder, but from a mother's broken heart. Long before the sea existed, there was only sky, dust, and silence. And in that silence lived Yemaya, the Orisha of life and motherhood, watching over a world that had not yet begun to breathe. Her story is not just about water. It is about sacrifice. It is about becoming the womb from which all things flow. And it is one of the oldest and most powerful myths in all of African spirituality. This is how the oceans were born. So, sit back, because this is Africa Unveiled. Before we dive in, I know many of you are watching from around the world, united by a love for Africa. Drop a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from. I'll be in the comments engaging with you. And if you're enjoying the content, a like and subscription would truly mean the world to me. All right, let's get back to the video. In the time before time, when the world was nothing but a dry and desolate expanse, the Orishas, the divine spirits of the Yoruba pantheon, watched over a quiet earth. There were no rivers, no oceans, no humans, only wind, fire, and stone. Among them was Yemaya, the spirit of nurturing, intuition, and motherhood. But she was different from the others. While the other Orishas mastered power and dominion, Yemaya longed for something else. She longed to create life. Every morning she walked across the cracked earth barefoot, listening, waiting, her heart heavy with yearning. For centuries the world remained silent, until one day Yemaya felt a strange stirring in her womb, a sign, a gift, a message from the source. But the path to creation would not come easily. Yemaya took a divine partner, Orun, a celestial spirit of the skies. From their union came the first spark of potential, twin seeds of possibility planted deep within her. But not all among the Orishas supported Yemaya's sacred desire to birth life. Some feared what life would bring: chaos, imbalance, rebellion. As tension grew among the gods, a great war broke out between the Orishas of structure and the Orishas of chaos. In the confusion, Yemaya's children were taken from her, ripped from her womb before they could be born, lost in the spiritual void. And that was when it happened. Yemaya, filled with unbearable grief, fell to her knees on the barren earth and wept. She wept with such pain that the very sky darkened. She screamed with such force that the heavens trembled, and as her tears fell, they kept falling and falling until the entire earth was covered in water. What was once dry and silent became a world of rivers, lakes, and oceans. Her sorrow had become the sea. As her body broke, Yemaya's divine essence spilled into the waters. Her amniotic fluid became the salt of the sea. Her breath became the tides. Her heartbeat became the rhythm of the waves. From that moment, she merged with the ocean itself, no longer just a goddess. You've heard of Poseidon, Neptune, even the great Leviathan. But in the heart of African mythology, beneath the calm surface of the sea, lives a god few dare to name aloud. Olokun, the ancient ruler of the deep, the one even Yemaya could not control. Yes, Yemaya created the oceans through her sorrow. But what most people don't know is that something already lived in the depths she unknowingly awakened. Something old, something dark, something angry. This is the part of the story no one tells. The war of water, the clash of tides, the day Yemaya faced the god of the abyss. After Yemaya's tears flooded the earth and gave birth to the sea, life blossomed. The land grew green, Creatures swam, birds flew, humans emerged, their bodies pulsing with water, gifts from Yamaya's sacred womb. For a time, all was peaceful. Yamaya ruled the upper waters with compassion. She sang to the rivers, she whispered wisdom to the tides, she taught humans to heal with water and listen to dreams. But in the farthest trenches of the ocean floor, where sunlight never touched and pressure crushed all sound, Olokun stirred. Olokun, the Orisha of the abyss, guardian of secrets, keeper of madness. He had been sleeping since the world was dust, and now he had awakened. When Yamaya wept and created the oceans, she had not realized what power she was disturbing. The waters, though sacred, had a depth she could not control, and Olokun, whose domain had been quiet and still for eons, now found his realm invaded by light, life, and movement. He was not pleased. She has turned my silence into song. Olokun thundered beneath the waves. She has brought mortals to drink from my depths. She must be reminded. The ocean is not only birth, it is destruction. And so, from the deep, Olokun rose. His form was formless, sometimes a monstrous sea serpent, sometimes a giant cloaked in coral, other times a great shadow that moved without shape. He brought with him tidal waves, whirlpools, and madness. The peaceful seas began to rage. Boats vanished, whirlpools devoured islands, fish died, and storms howled through the night skies. The humans cried to Yamaya for protection, and she, the mother of water, answered. This was not a battle of fists or fire. This was a war of elements, of chaos and order, of nurturing versus destruction. Yamaya rose from the surface, her golden dress flowing like waterfalls, her eyes glowing with the light of the moon. She summoned waves as tall as mountains, and her voice carried through every current. Olokun, she called, her voice both sorrowful and firm. The sea was made from my pain, but it belongs to all. We must share it, balance it, or drown in it together. But Olokun did not want balance. He wanted silence, depth, stillness. His realm had been disturbed, and he would drag all creation into the abyss if he had to. Their powers collided in a storm that split the ocean in half. Lightning struck the sea. Whirlpools churned like hungry mouths. Dolphins cried. Whales sang funeral songs. The surface boiled. The deep howled. And then, Yamaya did something no one expected. She didn't fight harder. She wept again. But this time, not from sorrow, but from understanding. Her tears fell, not in chaos, but in surrender. She let the storm rage. She opened herself completely, and in doing so, her light poured into the deep. Her divine energy merged with Olokun's madness, calming it, not destroying it, but embracing it. From that moment on, the ocean was forever changed. The surface remained Yamaya's realm, the waves, the tides, the nurturing waters of life. The deep remained Olokun's, mysterious, silent, powerful, and unknowable. They did not destroy each other. They became two halves of the same sea, creation and chaos, life and depth, love and madness, and every ocean still carries both their spirits. When you feel calm by the water, it is Yamaya. When you feel fear in the dark depths, it is Olokun. Together, they remind us, even within creation, there is darkness. Even within madness, there is meaning. But if Yamaya gave birth to the oceans and tamed the chaos of the deep, how then did humans come to walk the earth? Where did we come from, and what part of her did we inherit? Have you ever wondered why we are so drawn to water? Why we feel at peace by the sea, yet overwhelmed by its power? What if I told you that the answer lies not just in the ocean's depths, but in the very blood running through your veins? Yamaya did not just create life. She created us. Born from the salt water of her tears, our bodies, just like the ocean, carry her divine essence. But how did the oceans of the gods become the birthright of humanity? This is the untold story of how Yemaya gave birth to humankind, not from dust, but from the sea itself. After the great battle with Olokun, the waters of the earth settled, and the world began to breathe again. The sky softened, the storms quieted, and life resumed its course. But something stirred within the waters, a hidden desire, a longing deep in Yemaya's heart. She had created the seas. She had nurtured all life that swam within it. But now, her greatest gift was yet to come. Yemaya understood the balance of life and death, a constant flow of creation. But she knew that the seas needed something more, something that could truly speak and understand the ocean's heart. She closed her eyes, whispered into the waves, and within the deep, a transformation began. First, she took her essence, her soul, and merged it with the salt of the sea. She whispered to the waves, "From me, you shall rise, and from you, they shall be born." Her hands touched the water, and from her divine womb, the first human form took shape, not from the dust of the earth, but from the salt and moisture of Yemaya's sea. A woman first, her skin glistening with the light of the moon. Her hair was wild like the tide, flowing and alive. Yemaya breathed life into her, and she opened her eyes to the world. But this first woman was only the beginning. Yemaya's creation was not merely physical. She imbued the first humans with her essence, linking them to the ocean forever. The first humans could hear the whispers of the sea, understand its rhythms, and feel its emotions. It is said that the first humans were born of water, carrying both the wisdom of Yemaya and the mysteries of Olokun. Their blood ran with salt water, and their hearts beat with the tide, and they learned that the sea could both nurture and destroy, a reflection of their own dual nature. The first woman who emerged from Yemaya's waters was named Iyalode, the mother of mothers, the first embodiment of womanhood and fertility. Yemaya placed her by the shores of the sea, a reflection of Yemaya's divine beauty and strength. Iyalode, full of wonder, gazed into the ocean, hearing the echoes of Yemaya's voice. "You will guide your people with love, as I guide you with water. You will bear life, but also face loss. The sea that nourishes will also take away." And so, Iyalode gave birth to the first children of the earth, humans who walked on land, yet carried the ocean within them. To this day, every human being carries within them a piece of Yemaya's ocean. When you feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, it is her light that touches you. When you cry, the salt of your tears is a memory of the first tears of the goddess. Water is the lifeblood of humanity, the key to our existence. It nourishes, it cleanses, it heals. Yemaya gave us life through water, and just as the ocean never forgets, we too carry the memory of her touch in our very cells. When the first humans had learned to speak, they came to Yemaya on the shores of the sea. They asked her the question that had weighed on their minds. "Great Yemaya, where do we come from? What are we meant to do with this gift of life you have given?" Yemaya gazed out into the horizon, her golden skin shimmering in the moonlight. "You come from the sea. You are of water, of salt, of life and loss. But you must remember, the ocean flows. It does not stay still." But the story doesn't end here. Humanity was born from Yemaya. But what of her deeper connection with the spirits? What happens when the balance between life and death, joy and sorrow, creation and destruction, is disrupted once again? Yemaya, the goddess who created the oceans, gave birth to humanity, and protected the seas, now faces the ultimate test of her divine strength. But what happens when a mother's love is pushed to its limits? When her greatest creation, her children, face the very forces that could destroy them? In this final chapter, the story reaches its climactic end, where Yemaya is forced to make the ultimate sacrifice to save humanity and maintain the balance of life and death. The world had flourished. Humanity, born of Yemaya's sacred waters, had spread across the land. Rivers flowed with her blessings, and oceans teemed with life, abundant and vibrant. But not all was well. A new darkness had begun to creep across the earth. The god of death, Ogun, the Orisha of iron and war, had grown restless. The earth had become too full, too chaotic. He looked upon the humans, so full of life, and found himself disturbed by their vitality. Life cannot flow endlessly, Ogun growled from the shadows of the mountains. It must be tempered with the cold hand of death. Ogun's presence began to sour the air. The sky darkened, crops failed, rivers dried up. Storms began to rage once more, not in the peace of Yemaya's nurturing, but in the fury of chaos. Yemaya, who had once created the seas from sorrow, now felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Her children, the humans, were in danger, and the oceans she had birthed were on the brink of consuming them. In her infinite love, Yemaya knew what had to be done. To save her children, she would have to sacrifice a part of herself. The balance she had so carefully woven between life and death would now require the ultimate price. "I will give them life," Yemaya whispered to the winds, her voice as soft as a lullaby. "But I will also give them the strength to face their own death, to live and die in balance, for that is the way of the world." And so, Yemaya descended into the depths of the ocean, where the abyss of Olokun lay. She stood at the edge of the deep and began a ritual as old as time. Her golden, radiant form shimmered against the dark waters, and her tears fell, creating whirlpools that spread across the earth. The oceans roiled, the skies darkened, the earth trembled. Yemaya's final act of creation was not to give birth, but to offer herself. She raised her arms to the heavens, her aura glowing brighter than ever before. Her voice echoed through the waters, resonating with both grief and strength. To protect them, I must become them. To give life, I must return to the beginning. In a final burst of divine energy, Yemaya submerged herself into the deepest part of the ocean, becoming one with the very sea she had birthed. Her divine essence permeated the waters, giving them strength to heal the earth and withstand the chaos of Ogun's darkness. Her sacrifice balanced the forces of life and death, ensuring that humanity could live, grow, and ultimately face their fate with grace. From that day on, the seas remained ever-changing. They flowed with the rhythms of Yemaya's heart, pulsing with life and death in perfect harmony. Her spirit lingered in the currents, protecting her children from harm, guiding them through both joy and sorrow. Yemaya had become the eternal guardian of life. Her love was no longer just a gift. It was a force that shaped the world, a force that reminded humanity of their deep connection to the earth, the oceans, and each other. Even today, when we stand by the shore, we feel her presence. The sound of the waves crashing is her voice. The pull of the tide is her touch. And in the depths of the ocean, if you listen closely, you can hear Yemaya's final whisper, "I gave you life, and I will always be with you in every drop of water, in every tear that falls." The story of Yemaya's tears and sacrifice is not just a myth. It is the foundation of life, the source of balance between creation and destruction. Yemaya teaches us that life is a continuous flow, a cycle of birth and death, joy and sorrow, creation and destruction. Her connection to water, to the oceans, symbolizes the very essence of our existence. In African culture, Yemaya is honored as the mother of all waters, the protector of the oceans, and the nurturer of humanity. Her story serves as a reminder that even in our darkest times, there is balance, and through sacrifice, we can achieve peace. This myth also highlights the importance of motherhood, sacrifice, and the nurturing power of women, all themes deeply ingrained in African spirituality. Yemaya is revered not just for her power, but for her ability to give and protect life, a powerful symbol for all people to follow. This powerful tale of Yemaya's sacrifice teaches us about the balance of life, the strength of love, and the eternal bond between us and the waters. Which African mythology would you like me to explore next? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this journey through Yemaya's story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. The ocean of African mythology is vast, and I'll be back with more stories from the depths.